What if a single moment of weakness could cost everything? A victory within reach turned into a painful defeat, all because of one mistake. The Battle of Uhud is not just a chapter from history, it is a profound lesson in resilience, unity, and the consequences of disobedience. In this video, we will explore this unforgettable event where the Muslims faced their toughest challenge yet and emerged with lessons that still resonate with us today. The Battle of Uhud took place in the third year after the Hijrah. By this time, the Muslim community in Medina had started to establish itself, though the scars of the Battle of Badr still lingered. The Quraysh had suffered a humiliating defeat at the hands of a smaller Muslim army. Their pride had been shattered, and they could not let that defeat stand. For the Quraysh, the stakes were personal. This was not just about restoring their honor, it was about crushing the Muslim community once and for all. They rallied an army of 3,000 warriors with horses, camels, and the determination to avenge their loss at Badr. Meanwhile, the Muslims, though outnumbered with only 1,000 soldiers, were fighting for something far more significant than pride or territory. They were fighting to protect their faith, their families, and their very survival. The stakes were incredibly high. This battle wasn't just about defeating an enemy, it was about securing the future of Islam. Mount Uhud was chosen as the site of this crucial confrontation. A massive rocky ridge, it provided a natural defensive advantage. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, a brilliant strategist, positioned the Muslim army with their backs to Mount Uhud. This ensured no attack could come from behind. In front of them, the Quraysh army would approach. The positioning wasn't accidental. It was a carefully planned strategy to funnel the enemy into a frontal attack, allowing the Muslims to hold their ground despite being outnumbered. However, there was one vulnerability. A small hill to the side of the Muslim army could potentially allow the Quraysh cavalry to circle around and attack from the rear. Recognizing the risk, the Prophet, peace be upon him, appointed 50 skilled archers to guard that hill. Their role was critical. They were to hold their positions no matter what happened. "Stay at your post, do not leave, even if we are winning or losing," he commanded. These archers were a key component in the battle strategy. As long as they remained in position, the Muslims would be safe from a surprise attack. The Prophet's clear instructions would be the difference between victory and defeat. The battle began with fierce clashes as both armies charged into combat. The Quraysh, despite their superior numbers, faltered in the face of the Muslims' courage and discipline. The Muslims fought with unwavering belief in their cause, and their strategic positioning allowed them to overcome the Quraysh forces. The Muslims surged forward, pushing the Quraysh into retreat. It was a sight to behold. The Quraysh, who had come to crush the Muslims, were now fleeing in disarray. Shields, swords, and valuables were left behind by the retreating Quraysh, a clear sign that they had been defeated. The Muslims, though outnumbered, had turned the tide. Victory seemed within reach. But the triumph was fragile, and a dangerous mistake was about to turn the tide back in the Quraysh's favor. As the Quraysh retreated, the sight of spoils of war, shields, swords, and valuables left behind was too tempting for some of the archers on the hill. The battle seemed over, and many of them thought they could leave their posts and join in gathering the spoils. The Prophet's clear and unwavering command, "Do not leave your position, no matter what happens," was forgotten. One by one, the majority of the archers abandoned their posts. Only a few remained loyal to the Prophet's command. Unfortunately, the damage had already been done. Khalid ibn al-Walid, a brilliant military strategist of the Quraysh, had been watching the battle closely. Seizing the opportunity, he led his cavalry around Mount Uhud and up the unguarded hill. From this elevated position, he launched a devastating counterattack. The Muslims, who had been celebrating their early success, were suddenly flanked from behind. Confusion spread across the ranks. The Quraysh regrouped and returned to the battle with renewed energy. The Muslims, caught off guard, struggled to hold their ground. The battle that had seemed almost won was now slipping away. To make matters worse, a false rumor began circulating. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, had been killed. The morale of the Muslim forces crumbled as panic set in. Some soldiers began to flee while others continued to fight with determination, but the tide of the battle had shifted dramatically. In the midst of the chaos, the unthinkable happened. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was struck. He was severely injured, his face bloodied and his teeth knocked out, yet even in the face of such pain, his spirit remained unbroken. The battle raged on, with the Quraysh pressing their attack. The false rumor of the Prophet's death devastated the Muslims' morale, but a handful of brave companions refused to let despair take hold. Abu Bakr, Umar, Ali, and others formed a protective circle around the Prophet, shielding him from the onslaught. One of the most remarkable moments of bravery came from Talha ibn Ubaidullah. He stepped forward, taking several blows meant for the Prophet, suffering severe injuries in the process. Despite the pain, Talha did not retreat. His actions embodied the ultimate sacrifice for the cause of Islam. When the dust settled, the battlefield of Uhud was one of sorrow and loss. 70 Muslim martyrs lay on the ground, their bodies lifeless but their spirits alive in the presence of Allah. Among them was Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, the Prophet's beloved uncle. His courage and sacrifice were unmatched, and his loss was deeply felt by the Muslim community. Despite the heavy losses, the Quraysh declared the battle a victory. Their leader, Abu Sufyan, assumed that the Muslims had been broken. However, for the Muslims, the battle was far more complex than a simple win or loss. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, used this moment as a lesson. Victory is not just about defeating the enemy, it is about learning from every experience, growing in faith, and strengthening the bond between believers and Allah. The Battle of Uhud teaches us valuable lessons that are still relevant today. The first lesson is the importance of discipline and obedience. The disobedience of the archers abandoning their posts caused the Muslims dearly. The battle showed that a single act of disobedience can unravel months of preparation and effort. Leaders must be trusted and their orders must be followed, no matter how the situation appears in the moment. Unity is another critical lesson from Uhud. The early success of the Muslims was based on their unity and shared vision. When that unity was fractured by disobedience, the Muslims were caught off guard. The battle reminds us that without unity, defeat is inevitable. Lastly, setbacks and failures are opportunities for growth. The Muslims, despite their heavy losses, did not let the battle define them. Instead, they reflected, learned, and grew stronger in their faith and commitment to the cause of Islam. The Battle of Uhud is a powerful reminder of the lessons of discipline, unity, and resilience. It shows us that even in the face of hardship, we can grow stronger and more determined. The companions of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, displayed unmatched bravery and commitment, and from their struggles we too can learn how to overcome our own challenges. So as you reflect on this battle, think about the lessons you can apply to your own life. How can you stay disciplined in moments of challenge? How can you support those around you in times of need? And most importantly, how will you grow stronger in the face of adversity? If this video resonated with you, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you can keep learning from these timeless lessons. Together, we can learn, grow, and rise above the challenges in our lives. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.